For more than 200 years, people have spent fortunes, lost lives, and destroyed careers chasing something that may not even exist. For over 2 centuries, Oak Island has been a magnet for dreamers and obsessives. It's a small, unassuming island off the coast of Nova Scotia that happens to hold one of the world's most tantalizing and frustrating mysteries. We've all heard the whispers of pirate gold, the Knights Templar, maybe even the Holy Grail. But after all this time, after fortunes spent and lives tragically lost, what have they actually found? It's time to separate the cold, hard facts from the romantic fiction. We're going to sift through the layers of history, obsession, and pure legend to get to the verifiable truth of what lies on and beneath Oak Island. The birth of a legend. The story as we know it begins around 1795. But it's important to remember, this isn't a documented history. It's a legend, pieced together from stories told decades later. As the tale goes, a teenager named Daniel McGinnis stumbled upon a strange circular depression in the ground. Above it, an old oak tree had a branch that looked like it had been sawed off, with telltale rope marks, hinting that a block and tackle was used to lower something heavy into the earth. It was basically a giant X marks the spot. McGinnis and 2 friends supposedly started digging. A couple of feet down, they hit a layer of flagstones. Then, at 10-foot intervals, they found platforms of oak logs. But without the right gear, they had to give up. The discovery was abandoned, but the legend was just getting started. Fast forward to the early 1800s, and a new group, the Onslow Company, picked up where the boys left off, at what was now called the Money Pit. Their dig is part of the core legend. They reported finding layers of charcoal, putty, and coconut fiber every 10 feet. The coconut fiber was a real head-scratcher, since the nearest coconut trees are thousands of miles away. Then, at roughly 90 feet, they supposedly found the most famous clue of all, a stone slab with a mysterious inscription. But just as they were about to press on, the pit flooded with seawater, seemingly out of nowhere. The island's first booby trap had been sprung. It's a great story, but it's worth noting that no contemporary primary records from the Onslow Company have ever been found to support these claims. An age of obsession and curses. The Onslow Company's spectacular failure kicked off a pattern that would repeat for the next 200 years. Every new attempt brought more searchers, more money, and a deeper obsession. The Truro Company took a crack at it in the 1840s, convinced they could beat the flooding. Their drills supposedly brought up some tantalizing hints: wood fragments, more coconut fiber, and even what they described as feeling like loose metal or gold links. But every time they tried to dig, the water rushed back in. The island, it seemed, was fighting back. This is where the tale turns from a simple treasure hunt into a generational obsession, and a dark one at that. A grim legend started to circulate. 7 men must die before the island gives up its treasure. The first death occurred in 1861, when a boiler on a water pump exploded, killing a worker. Then, in 1897, a man named Maynard Kaiser fell to his death during a hoist. But the most
infamous tragedy cemented the curse in the public imagination. In 1965, Robert Restall, who had moved his entire family to the island, was overcome by poisonous gas while inspecting a shaft. His son, Bobby, raced in to save him and was also overcome. 2 other workers, Carl Grazer and Cyril Hiltz, died trying to rescue them. In a single afternoon, 4 men were lost, bringing the death toll to 6. The curse felt chillingly real. These tragedies transformed Oak Island's reputation. It wasn't just a place of mystery anymore. It was a place of real danger.
The engineering of a trap. Or is it? While curses and pirate gold make for great stories, the most debated mystery of Oak Island is its engineering, or lack thereof. The theory that has driven the search for centuries is that the flooding in the Money Pit is no accident. It's a deliberately engineered booby trap.
The main evidence for this comes from Smith's Cove, a small inlet on the island. Back in the 1850s, searchers there discovered what they described as an elaborate system of man-made drains. The story goes that 5 stone-lined channels, converging like fingers on a hand, were found buried under the beach, covered in layers of eelgrass and coconut fiber. These box drains appeared to lead inland toward the Money Pit, creating what looked like a massive, sophisticated system designed to flood any shaft that got too deep. Searchers argued this was far too complex for a common pirate, and must have been the work of a well-funded, highly organized group.
However, many geologists and skeptics have a much simpler explanation. They point out that the island's geology is full of natural sinkholes and water-filled cavities, which could easily explain the flooding. Others have suggested the so-called drains and structures could be the remains of something mundane, like an old salt works, which were common in the area. The truth is, modern excavations haven't been able to conclusively prove that a sophisticated man-made flood tunnel system exists. The engineered trap theory is just that, a theory.
The artifacts. What has actually been found? So, if we strip away the legends and unproven theories, what's actually been pulled out of the ground? The verifiable finds tell a fascinating, if confusing, story. First, the legendary 90-foot stone. It was supposedly found by the Onslow Company and was said to have a cipher that, according to one unverified translation, read 40 feet below, 2 million pounds are buried. But here's the catch. The stone itself has been missing since the early 1900s. Stories say it was used as a fireplace liner or a bookbinder's beading stone, which would have destroyed any inscription. With no original stone, no photos, and no rubbings, it remains a piece of folklore, not hard evidence. Next, the coconut fiber. This is a confirmed find. It has been discovered in various locations, including Smith's Cove. While some early reports of carbon dating yielded tantalizingly old dates, many results actually point to the 17th and 18th centuries. The older medieval dates are contested and haven't been published in peer-reviewed journals, so claiming they prove a medieval presence is a stretch. Still, large quantities of foreign fiber are certainly intriguing. Then there's the lead cross. Found in 2017, it's one of the most compelling modern finds. It's a crudely made lead cross that doesn't fit with a typical colonial site. Isotopic analysis, as reported on the TV show,
suggested the lead was not from North America and had similarities to medieval-era lead from southern France. This has fueled theories about a link to the Knights Templar, but it's important to note this analysis hasn't been widely published or peer-reviewed, and lead sourcing can be complex.
Finally, there are the smaller items. Various coins have been found, including a Spanish copper coin from 1652, confirming activity on the island before the 1795 discovery legend. There have also been fragments of wood pulled from deep boreholes, and even tiny human bone fragments. DNA analysis performed for the television series on 2 of these bone fragments suggested one had European ancestry, and the other had genetic markers more common in the Middle East. This has been presented as a major clue, but the results were based on very limited material and lack independent academic verification.
The modern search. Since 2014, the hunt has been led by brothers Rick and Marty Lagina, who have thrown modern technology and a lifelong passion at the mystery. Their work has turned up some interesting finds. At Smith's Cove, they uncovered what they interpret as parts of the box drain system, including a triangular opening that seems to match a 19th century newspaper description, with coconut fiber nearby. In the Money Pit area, their drilling has brought up wood dated by their experts to various periods, and water samples from deep boreholes have reportedly shown elevated concentrations of silver and gold. However, these trace amounts can be influenced by many factors, including natural background levels or even contamination from drilling, and they don't definitively prove a buried treasure hoard.
The Laginas have also expanded the search across the island, discovering things like a stone pathway in the swamp and various other artifacts, including what's been identified on the show as an ancient Roman coin. While exciting, many of these identifications and dates are commissioned for the TV show and are not yet corroborated by the wider academic community. The finds suggest a long and complex history of human activity, but the exact nature of that activity remains hotly debated. The search goes on, and the island continues to offer up more questions than answers. What do you think is the most significant find on Oak Island so far? Drop your theories in the comments below. And if you love digging into the world's greatest mysteries, make sure to like and subscribe Sensei Mystery. If you enjoy mysteries buried beneath history, watch next Pompeii, the lost city frozen in time, a city destroyed in a single day, then hidden beneath ash for nearly 17 centuries. So, after more than 2 centuries of digging, what's the verdict? Frustratingly, there's been no pirate chest, no Ark of the Covenant, and no lost Shakespearean manuscripts. By the standard of finding a single spectacular treasure, every searcher has failed. But what they have found is, in many ways, more mysterious. They found a puzzle. There's a collection of artifacts and stories that are hard to explain. There's evidence of significant activity on the island long before the treasure hunters arrived, but its purpose is completely unknown. The real treasure of Oak Island, it seems, isn't the what, but the who and the why. The verifiable facts, stripped of legend, still tell an incredible story. Someone, at some point in history, came to this remote island and went to extraordinary lengths to do something. That is the real mystery, and it's one we've only just begun to understand. Think, discover, uncover, Sensei Mystery.